My name is Michael Carter, aka S.H.I.E.L.D. Agent Red Right 88. Last year, S.H.I.E.L.D. Director Phil Coulson assigned me to disseminate recently discovered files detailing the early exploits of my great aunt, S.H.I.E.L.D. Agent Peggy Carter. I thought my mission was over. However, a new series of documents covering Agent Carter's exploits in California was recently discovered. This is Season 2 of the Whimsical Adventures of Great Aunt Peggy. Due to the rescindance of our dimensional portal insurance and the resulting cutbacks from said insurance being canceled, we've had to take on a few sponsors. So tonight's episode is brought to you by Coca-Cola. Come along, you belong. Feel the fizz of Coca-Cola. Dr. Wilkes called Peggy down to the lab where he demonstrated that he could somehow move the Jane Scott tissue sample. It was then that the sample leapt off the table and Wilkes wound up absorbing it, even through the jar. The absorption resulted in Wilkes becoming tangible once more, and he was able to deduce the location of Jane Scott's body. Agent Carter and Jarvis then made plans to attempt to steal back Jane Scott's body, which was being held at a cold storage facility. The two broke into the facility via the ventilation system, where they were able to witness the Chadwicks inspecting Jane Scott's body. Agnes Cully then did the same trick Wilkes had done. It was then that she realized what she needed to complete the rest of her plan. An atom bomb. Somehow I don't think Harvey Whippleman is going to approve of this. What do you think? Peggy and Jarvis went back to Wilkes, who was able to conclude that Agnes needed more zero matter. And in order to get more zero matter, she would need to create the original experiment that resulted in the zero matter. Hence the bomb. Agent Carter returned to SSR headquarters, where everyone was celebrating Agent Sousa's re-engagement. Sousa took Carter down to the lab where Peggy was given some type of memory eraser device. Peggy went undercover at Rocks and Oil, which also made the weapons used in the original zero matter experiments. It wasn't easy to fool Roxxon CEO Hugh Jones. In fact, he was never really fooled at all. It took multiple uses of the memory eraser device to eventually take Jones down, and afterwards, Agent Carter managed to procure the key to the Roxxon weapon depot. Agent Carter and the others began planning to break into the weapons depot. Unfortunately, Starks Industries' intel on the depot was very limited, and the SSR seemed to have the Council of Nine in its pockets. However, Carter and Sousa began assembling a team of some other low-level agents who weren't always in the field, namely SSR receptionist Rose and lab technician Dr. Samberly. With that, the break-in was on. Upon arrival, the group found that the Chadwicks had already arrived. However, it turns out that no one involved knew where the bombs were located in the facility. Unfortunately, once Peggy and the others located the bombs, Jarvis got locked into the room with the bombs while the others were locked out. This left Sousa to have to try to talk Jarvis through the disarmament procedure. Sousa slowly talked Jarvis through everything while Carter began taking out Chadwick's crew. Eventually, Peggy confronted the Chadwicks and offered to help Agnes Cully, but Agnes wasn't having any of it. She grabbed Peggy and the two began to scuffle. Peggy eventually broke free, but she was inadvertently tossed over a rail and onto a rebar. Sousa and Jarvis took Peggy to the home of Violet, Sousa's fiancée. Violet told Peggy that she actually needed a hospital, but Peggy said no. Violet managed to patch Peggy up, and Jarvis took her back to Stark Mansion. Everything began to feel fine, until Dr. Wilkes mysteriously vanished again. Overall, there were a lot of highs to this episode. Namely, the comedy caper elements involving the banter between the characters. In particular, Alice and Dr. Samberly I thought were pretty funny. Not to mention Jarvis and Peggy, but they always work great together. That being said, some of the comedic elements didn't work in this episode either. Namely, the Hugh Jones rocks and oil stuff with the memory eraser got repetitive really fast. And the Chadwicks really did not come off like a threat in this episode. They were just kind of bumbling their way through. I mean, in particular, the whole scene with the mobster, that just left me feeling bad. Because of this, I am going to have to give this episode a C. And with that, we'll see you next time on the Whimsical Adventures of Great Aunt Peggy.